Hi everyone, we are in the learning series. Now we are going to learn the next learning series. Just see this video.
These young people are studying in a new way. Class in spelling, it might as well be arithmetic or algebra or grammar or in fact anything involving the use of words or symbols. Each student is using a teaching machine, a device which creates vastly improved conditions for effective study. What are teaching machines? How are they used? What can they teach? Who prepares the material they teach? And how does this material differ from textbooks, lectures, and educational television? What impact will machine teaching have on school organization? Some of these questions can be answered in at least a preliminary way. I'm E.F. Skinner, Professor of Psychology at Harvard University. I'd like to discuss some of the reasons why studying with the help of a teaching machine is often dramatic.
Hope you have seen that video. I think this much is enough for us for our discussion. And that was what you have seen, a typewriter kind of thing over it. That is called as a teaching machine. So it was invented by the person whom you are seeing, the Brutus Frederick Skinner, and the learning type which we are going to see is operant conditioning. So already we have learned about classical conditioning. Now we are going to the similar kind of thing which we call it as operant conditioning, and his contribution is very long, and that's what you have seen in that video where a kind of typewriter kind of thing was there. It is called as teaching machine. So we'll elaborate and a summary of his experiment on operant conditioning. So a rat is kept inside a cage and there is a lever. If it presses the lever, it will get small pellet of the food. Initially it may not be knowing that, but sometime as the time passes, it may be getting angry. So somehow it touched the lever and it the pellet, the food in the form of pellet, it gets inside the cage. So somehow it learns to press the lever and to get the food. So this is the summary of that experiment, which we call it the operant conditioning. Okay. So the previous, which was by Paulo, is classical conditioning. Classical, the word we use because it is the first in conditioning, or the old. Therefore, it is classical conditioning. Now, this is another one which we got the name operant, or if you put like this, operates upon the environment. So an action is performed by the learner. So operant conditioning. Okay, so this we call is operant conditioning. I want to show you an experiment through the YouTube. Let us go to the YouTube. So you can find here the cat responds first and then get the food. So it responds and then get the food. And there is a pairing of response and stimulus. As like Paulo. Paulo is stimulus and response, here response and stimulus getting paired. So after the response, the food is given. So operates upon the organism operates upon the environment. Operant conditioning. See if you find this thing and easily could get what we are going to see now. So it is so this is a difference between classical conditioning and operant conditioning. So since we have learned the both, we could able to tell the difference between the both. I think you can try for some time and then you can pause this video for quite some time. You try for it and then you can continue to see this video. So number one, so normally it comes whenever we go for differences between two kind of thing, we can normally found it is the one who proposed this. The first one is Ivan Petrovich Pavlov. The second one is Brutus Patrick Skinner. The second one is response. The second, third, and fourth are very important thing which distinguishes between the two types of theories. So the first classical conditioning is involuntary. Okay, without our will. Without our will, we respond. We respond to the stimulus, and then the stimulus and response get paired. In operant conditioning, there is a will. There is a will. We do it deliberately. We do it voluntarily. Therefore, the response type is involuntary in the case of classical and voluntary in the case of operant. So occurrence of response. So another important thing. So the response comes after the stimulus in case of classical, and the opposite in case of operant. It comes before the stimulus. Okay, the response is before the stimulus. So if you could put it in this way, if in the form of letters, classical condition is SR type, SR, stimulus, response. In operant, RS, because the response is first, therefore or yes. So S or RS. So if you can make it a mirror kind of mirror images. Okay. The fourth one, another important thing, how does the learner be in the two types of learning? So in classical, the learner is passive. So we are conditioning since without his will it is coming. Since the response is involuntary, you are made to do the response. So that is passive. Here, unless and until the organism responds, there is no learning. The organism is bound to respond. Okay, so that's kind of an active learning. So having armed with all these differences, let us go to the usually we see the application. The important application of operant conditioning is programmed instruction. So I will give those things. The same thing which we have seen the teaching machine in that video by Skinner, the same thing, but now in modern way using computers. That was in 1960s, but later the same thing now we can put in computer. The same whatever they had learned in typewriter kind of thing by moving the knob, all those things you can learn through computer. And that we call it as a programmed instruction. Now it is all the basis of e-learning is from here. Okay, suppose any type of online learning, just you have to give a username, password, and then you have to get inside. And if you want to learn the lesson as a full, you can take it as a full, and if you want to go part by part, you can take part A, then part B, then part C. So a small portion by portion, so that you can go in a leisure manner. So it depends upon you. However you like, you can take it. So you select it, and then you will get what is called as a box, and that technically called as frame. It's not a question; it's a frame in which you have a small concept. So this is in Tamil. I will tell in English. Every lesson is broken down into smaller concepts. That small concept, if in a postcard size thing, we call it as a frame. So again, this program instruction has been written on the lesson learning. The lesson learning is broken down into approximately 147 frames. 198 frames. The lesson learning, which was for diploma in teacher training students. That lesson is broken down into smaller thing, and that smaller thing concept it put in a postcard size thing. We call it as a frame. 198 frames we have across. Okay, so this one is the one example we have, and if I put in English, the change in the behavior is called as learning. The child goes to the school and learns to render a poem using gestures. This is the change in behavior of the student. Hence this is called dash. I think you can fill the answer. You have to read the lesson by this way and you have to type the answer. If we are not typing the answer, it will not allow to go to the next frame. Okay, right? So you have to read it, and then as soon as you read, you have to type the answer. After typing the answer, you can, if you press the button submit, you can get the answer by the teacher so that you can get the feedback. See, you see, many things are happening here. In a normal lecture method, if I keep on teaching, there may be a question or there may be a question at intermittent times. So once in 5 minutes or somewhere a teacher may ask question, and for that few may respond, few may not respond also. But in a type of programmed instruction like this, the student has to read the frame, they have to answer for each frame. If there are, remember, if there are 198 frames, you have to write 198 answer. And then as soon as the answer is given, you can get the feedback of your answer, whether it is right or not, from the teacher's answer, feedback. So reading, there will be a question, it is answering, and then you get the feedback from the teacher. So everything is there in the program instruction. But where in a lecture method, in every small step there may not be a question, but here it is possible. This is what you are learning now through a computer kind of screen. The same thing it was learned by the typewriter kind of thing, but only thing they have to move the knob to see the next frame. First frame, move the knob. Second frame, write the answer. Move the knob. Third frame, write the answer. Move the knob. Fourth frame. But it's possible that you may see the answer also, the teacher's answer also you can see in the old typewriter kind of thing, the teaching machine. But in this teaching machine, aided by computer, you may not see the answer. It will not allow to go to the next frame without answering. So that is advantage of the computer. And like this, you have to go for 198 frames. Even frames can be like this, the second frame. This is the second frame. So read it, have to give the answer. Know the answer whether this is correct or not from the feedback of the teacher. Like this you can go, and this is for the teacher's part. So for what we have seen is the student part. This is for teacher, and he can add those frames. One is the the question manager, which means the frame manager. The second is the answer scripts. If you keep the frame manager, it goes there, you have to get the frame 1, 2, all those things you have to add. For frame 1, what is the content? You have to add it. You have to add the answer, and then you can go. This was prepared some 15 years before. Those times I have not, this is my research work, I have not used any other thing. Only I have used text, and then I have used only images. But now as the computer has been more advanced, you can use animation file, video file, audio file, whatever you want you can use to prepare the frames. Okay, and then if you go to the student answer sheet, so hit down the roll number, you can get the answer sheet, you can put the mark, and this was in the regional language. At that time I was not able to know how to get the marks, but if it is in English, the machine itself can put the marks, and just by pressing a button you can get the marks of any number of students. Thousands of students, you can get the marks just by pressing a button, because now a machine itself can assess, can measure and put the marks for each and every students. Okay, so this is what we call it as a programmed instruction. So a frame will be there. For that frame you have to give an answer, and that answer has to be verified. You can get the feedback, and this goes on for each and every frame, so that the learning is in a planned manner. That's why we called it as a programmed instruction. So the previous one was what is a typewriter kind of thing. Now it's a very modern. You can use mobile phones. Can learn through mobile phone. You can learn through computer. Many files we can add. All those things are possible. And this programmed instruction is a very much good contribution by the operant conditioning. So it has this programmed instruction has got beautiful advantages, worthful advantages. Those advantages are here: self-testing, active responding, immediate feedback, self-pacing, and small step. So let me explain one by one. Self-testing means one frame is there. Student has to give the answer. Self-testing. Every frame has got a question and answer. Every frame. Small construct, there will be a small question. So self-testing, active responding. Analyze it until you answer. You cannot proceed to the next frame. So we have to be active, as like the rat, which pulls the lever and get the food. So operant operates upon the environment, active responding, and then if we answer, and then you can get the answer of the teacher, immediate feedback. And then this is self-pacing. As I have started the program instruction, you may go part A today, part B tomorrow, part C tomorrow, part D day after tomorrow. So you can take it on the 4 days also, or today itself you can finish all the 198 frames. That depends upon the learner. Okay, that is self-pacing. So whatever the students like, they can go. Those who are very intelligent or high achievers, they can finish within a day. Those who are average, they can take 2 or 3, and below average they can go for more number of days. Self-pacing and small step. See the instruction, the content, it is very small. You see that lesson learning, it is divided into 198 frames. That many small, that even 10 or 15 pages, it is kept in 198 frames. So in that way, the programmed instruction is a big contribution to the effective education. So the education will be more effective, the learning will be more active. In that way, it has been contributing to the education. Thank you. We will meet in the next class with a next theory.